Chris Hipkins just did something politicians rarely do. He told the truth about his potential coalition partners, and it was spicy. We're talking shots fired at Winston Peters' flip-flopping, Te Pāti Māori's complete meltdown, and a cheeky dig at National's homework-free KiwiSaver policy. Buckle up, because Labor's leader just threw shade like it's going out of style. And honestly, it's the most honest pre-election commentary we've seen in years. Hello, welcome to NZ Political Insights. If you're just watching now, please hit the subscribe button to keep you in touch with our daily new updates. What's up, political junkies? Welcome back to NZ Political Insights, the channel where we break down the chaos of Kiwi politics without putting you to sleep. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because election year is heating up, and trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming. Today, we're diving into Chris Hipkins' recent media appearance where he basically roasted everyone in sight. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. Peters? Roasted. Te Pāti Māori? Extra crispy. National? Well done. Let's get into it. So here's the context. Hipkins was speaking to media after a business roundtable and meeting with a delegation from China's Shandong province. Sounds boring, right? Wrong, because journalists smelled blood in the water and started asking about coalition arrangements. And why wouldn't that? A recent Ipsos Issues Monitor poll just dropped, and guess what? The current government scored a whopping 3.9 out of 10. That's lower than a Netflix password sharing rating. Meanwhile, Labour is polling as the best party to handle more issues, according to 1,004 respondents. The government is struggling, election year is around the corner, and coalition math is about to become everyone's favorite or least favorite subject. With National, ACT, and New Zealand First currently sniping at each other like reality TV stars, the question isn't if coalitions will be messy, it's how messy. And that's where our boy Hipkins comes in, armed with zingers and zero chill. But before we get to the main event, let's talk about who Hipkins might actually need to work with. Spoiler alert, it's complicated. First up, Te Pāti Māori. Now, if you've been paying attention to New Zealand politics lately, and let's be honest, it's been hard not to, you'll know that Te Pāti Māori has been having what we might politely call internal disagreements. But Hipkins, he's not here for politeness. Quote, I've seen political parties have their internal disagreements, but this is next level. It's unclear whether there is even a Māori party left, or whether there are multiple different factions now doing their own thing. Ouch. That's not a political statement, that's a diagnosis. Hipkins basically looked at Te Pāti Māori and said, I'm not sure if you're one party or a group project where nobody's talking to each other.
But wait, there's more. He continued, I think one of the messages here is that identity alone is not enough. If you want to be in politics, you have to stand for something. You have to have a coherent philosophy around how you'd govern. Now, let's unpack this. Hipkins is essentially saying, look, representing Maori interests is important, but you also need actual policies, an economic plan, and a vision for governance that goes beyond identity politics. It's a fair point, honestly. Voters need to know what you'll do, not just who you represent. And right now, with Te Pāti Māori's very public schism making headlines, it's hard to see a coherent vision emerging. Here's the kicker, though. Despite all this shade, Hipkins still won't rule out working with them. Because politics is basically that friend who keeps saying they're done with their toxic acts but then shows up at their house at 2 a.m., I'm not ruling anyone in or out, Hipkins said, which is politician speak for, I'm keeping my options open because I might need you, but I'm also going to publicly roast you just in case I don't. All right, so Te Pāti Māori got served, but Hipkins wasn't done, not by a long shot. Next on the menu, Winston Peters. And this is where it gets really good. Winston Peters, the man, the meth, the political shapeshifter. If politics were a reality show, Winston would be the contestant who changes alliances every episode and somehow still makes it to the finale. So what happened? Last week, Peters voted for the Regulatory Standards Bill. Then days later, literally less than 7 days, he vowed to repeal it, calling it not fit for a modern democracy. Let that sink in. He voted yes on a bill, it became law, and then he turned around and said, actually, this is terrible and I want to undo it. Hipkins' response? Chef's kiss perfection. I welcome Winston Peters' sudden change of heart. It's a shame he didn't have that view less than 7 days ago when he voted it into law. But he didn't stop there. Hipkins went full savage mode. I think it's staggering that Winston Peters voted for this law change less than 2 weeks ago and is now condemning it. If he had felt that way all along, as he claims, why didn't he vote against it? Valid question, Chris. Very valid question. Peters' excuse? He said NZ First did their best to fix the bill but had to vote for it because of coalition obligations, which is basically saying, I didn't want to do it, but my friends made me. Classic. Hipkins summed it up perfectly. It's a reminder that if you vote for Winston Peters, you never know from one day to the next what you might be voting for. And you know what? He's not wrong. Peters has been in politics longer than most of us have been alive, and his record on consistency is, let's say, flexible. He's worked with Labor before. He's worked with National. He's like that friend who switches friend groups depending on who's buying lunch. ACT's David Seymour even suggested Peters was eyeing up a deal with Labor after the election. Is he? Who knows? With Winston, anything's possible. And once again, despite all of this criticism, Hipkins won't rule out working with Peters either. Because in politics, today's roast is tomorrow's coalition partner. Wild. Okay, so Hipkins has demolished both potential coalition partners, but he wasn't done throwing shade. National's new KiwiSaver policy was next on the chopping block. National recently announced a new KiwiSaver policy aimed at boosting retirement savings by slowly raising default worker and employer contributions over time. Sounds good, right?
Hipkins actually agreed. He called it a road to Damascus moment and said boosting Kiwis' retirement savings would be great for New Zealand. But then came the but. I am concerned the National Party haven't done their homework here.